Thank you for watching Rebuilder in a Box. This is another Mitsuba SM74009 is the OE number. Our kit number 41901 fits the 13 to 17 Accord 2.4 and the 15-16 CRV with a 2.4. Measures front to back, a little over 8 inches long. You'll see the top where the battery connects has a lateral adapter, and the plug is square. The two ears are approximately the same width and approximately 180 apart. Notice that the harness hardware is on the left facing the back. We're going to start by taking the two 5/16 bolts out. Stop. Notice how this one here, in here, doesn't have the three little coil springs. It's just got some type of rotary springs on the outside. So actually it's a little easier, it's less to worry about when you put it back together. Okay, what we're going to do is make sure that this goes up and down smoothly, doesn't get stuck, doesn't hang up. And then grab it right here and feel the play. It's got a little bit of wobble to it, but it shouldn't wobble all over the place. We're going to hold on to the other side of the shaft with your left hand and feel the bendix. It should feel smooth. As long as it's got a little bit of resistance to it and it feels smooth and clean, then you're good to go. We have very little problems when using the bendix. So we're just going to go ahead and clean this out with a mineral spirits or some sort of spray cleaner. Same thing with these parts. Clean them up with some kind of degreaser. Get all the old grease out of there so you can put fresh new grease in there. Get all the crap out of there. The armature here, all you have to really do is just clean it up with a piece of sandpaper. You can put the armature in a vise or hold it down with your foot and just buff it all the way around. Make sure that all the bars are all there. Each little copper bar has to be entirely there. If there's any holes in it, particularly towards the lines in between, you have to either get that out or replace the armature. Typically we're going to spin that on a lathe, but for at-home use you really don't have to. Any Einstein can tell you that it's already round because it's been in service. Secret ingredient, Marble Mystery Oil. We're going to put a couple drops right here so that it gets down between the shaft and the bushing. We're going to put a couple drops over here by the bendix so that a couple drops gets down in there. And then we're going to also put regular motor oil so that it gets down into the nose cone and in between the bushing of the shaft of the bendix. And we're going to put a couple drops of it down on this spline. That spline where it goes up and down. I'm going to put a couple drops of Marble Mystery Oil down on that and regular motor oil. Then work this up and down so that it's nice and free. This part here, we're going to coat it with oil inside and out. Inside here and outside there. This part here, we're going to coat that on the outside and on the inside with a coat of oil. We're going to put a drop of oil on each one of these. On both sides. And then these parts here, we're going to lightly paint with an acid brush white lithium grease. Notice how it's not packed down in there, because it will hydraulic lock up. The 3 gears and the outside gear, it's just painted lightly. It's not really packed down in there. We got to take this extension piece off so we can put it on the new brush holder. It's just a 13mm. Take that loose, take that post off. This particular kit takes this type of stem. The difference between the wrong type of stem and the right type of stem is this little plastic collar right here and a smaller button. If you got the wrong kit, the stem is going to be a little bit shorter and not have that collar right there, and the button's bigger. There they are side by side. The right kit for this particular starter, the stem, the plastic shaft is a little bit longer than the wrong one. What we want to do with this star washer to make it grip a little bit better, flip it upside down and tap it with a hammer a few times to get it flattened out. This is a new brush holder assembly. I don't know why it has that plastic collar on there, but you need to take those nuts off. Take the plastic collar off. And to make things a lot easier, you might want to take this boot out of the way, because you can roll it up, hold it out of your way while you're putting it together. I recommend just taking it off, and then you can squeeze it back on there after you're done. Okay, so this is sitting in the vise, clamped gently. First thing that goes in is this, with the gray part up. So that slides down in there. And we're going to take the stem, you'll see the 2 flat sides, push it into the fitting, and that goes in the opening here. So we're going to put that on there. Then here's the circle, here's the stem. It should go down in there about like that. If you have any corrosion around this lip, you have to take a wire toothbrush and get it out, or take a piece of sandpaper and get it out. And then we're going to want a layer of white lithium grease along through there to ensure a good ground path. Next, we're going to put this on. It's already been oiled. Put the 3 gears in. And we're ready to put the brush holder on. The hole goes down on the stem, and it should be sitting down in there about 1/16 of an inch. Then the button goes on, the copper disc perforated side down. Then the little spring, and then the star washer. Now here is an important point. You'll see a little groove in the plastic that the star washer goes into. Make sure that the internal teeth land on that. If you go too far, you can take a couple pair of you can take 2 screwdrivers and push it back up. Like this. But make sure that the internal teeth on the star keeper washer is into that groove. Stop. Okay, so I'm using a 6mm. You can use a 1/4 inch. Just tap it down on there. If you want to, rub a little white lithium grease on the inside of this and weasel that back on. I'm going to take a little bit of acetone and an acid brush and clean off any grease or dirt that's on there. Then I'm going to take some epoxy. This happens to be DevCon, whatever kind you get, Loctite or whatever's fine. Mix up just a little tiny bit and put it on the top, right in a circle right there. Not a lot, just a little tiny bit. Okay, the part that sucks is putting this outside adapter post back on. It's going to point up, and you'll be able to feel it lock in. As you're putting that nut on there, as you're tightening the nut, do it by hand. Make sure that that back contact stays flat. So you can stick a screwdriver in there or just keep an eye on it. Make sure that when you tighten that back nut, this back contact in the back, the second half of this front contact that makes contact through the disc, is flat. Okay, so we're getting ready to put the armature down in here. All the springs are still up and not in tension, and so we got to get all these brushes back in there. You can see 3 of them are in and the one isn't, so I got to grab a pair of needle nose and just get that loaded up into the guide. I'm putting a drop of oil onto the shaft. So the armature's set on there. I'm just going to take a pocket screwdriver and push the one brush at a time, and then after I get that brush down, I'm going to kind of lean it that way, and then when I go to the second brush, I'm just going to go around in a circle, moving the brushes out of the way with the pocket by pulling the brush wire with a pocket screwdriver. So that drops down in there, and then go around and push all 4 springs down. So I've turned this around so this part is facing me. And what I want to do is take a little bit of white lithium grease and just put a thin layer of it on that slot. Then we're going to put this down on there. And you have to be a little bit careful, because if you do it too slowly, this will suck up out of there and then you got to start all over again. So just get it started on there and then hold the armature down with your finger while you slide this slot down over top of that rubber boot. And then we want to take a hammer make sure that it's seated real well. And then we're going to put a drop of oil in here and a little bit of white lithium grease, and then just put it back together. Oop, remember that the hardware goes on this side. Here I have a pair of alligators on a number 12 wire. I'm gonna check this. These are not like most starters. Most starters, you have to see the Bendix come out and it has to stay out, and if it doesn't, there's something wrong. This is a whole different animal. You hear it start to spin and you see it, you hear a click and you see it start to spin. If it moves out a little bit, it's okay. This one will probably come out more than most of them because I polished it on a lathe. But as long as you hear it click and you hear it spinning and it moves out a little bit, it can even kick back and forth. So we're going to put the negative lead and the positive lead. And then the alligator goes down in the ignition switch. And then when you click this on, hold on to it so it doesn't kick out of your hands. And that sound that it makes, a nice smooth running sound. And the RPM that it achieves, that's what you're looking for. Like I said, mine kicks out all the way. Yours might not. That's okay.